The wind that calls your name. It was just any other afternoon, though since that thing began, there were no more ordinary days. The wind started blowing hard, almost as if the air itself had a life of its own. I never believed in superstitions or ghost stories, but ever since I moved into this old house, something in the atmosphere changed every time the wind started to howl. It all began one night when a whisper woke me up. I was asleep, oblivious to everything, when I heard my name, whispered in a deep, wrinkled voice as if coming from a dark cave. Lucas. My name. So clear, so close, it made me open my eyes instantly. I looked around in the darkness of my room, but there was nothing, just the sound of the wind, as always, hitting the windows. I tried to sleep again, but I couldn't. Something was wrong. As the nights went by, the voices became more frequent. It wasn't just one, but several, as if an invisible choir was calling me. Always my name. Lucas. Lucas, come. The voices seemed to rise in the wind itself, as if it were waiting for me to respond. One night, after days of not being able to rest, I decided enough was enough. Curiosity consumed me, and I got up to investigate. I looked out the window of my room, and in the distance, I saw the shadows of the trees shaking violently. The wind was stronger than ever, as if something or someone was blowing directly toward the house. It wasn't natural. It felt as if the wind was alive, breathing with a force that made me uncomfortable. Suddenly, the whisper returned. This time, it wasn't just my name, but something else, something that froze my blood. Lucas, come with me. I felt a chill run down my spine. I couldn't ignore it. My body moved on its own, as if something was forcing me to walk toward the door, into the darkness outside my room. I opened the door, and the freezing air hit me immediately. That wind, which seemed to have a life of its own, surrounded me, calling me, dragging me. There was no way to resist it. The hallway was empty, but the whispers grew louder, filling the space as if coming from all directions at once. Each step I took brought me closer to the source of the wind. My feet led me to the end of the house, to the attic. I didn't know why, but I knew that was where it was calling me from. I climbed the stairs with the wind in my ears, pushing me upward faster and faster. When I reached the attic, the door was ajar, and the air coming from it was so cold that it made me shiver. But I couldn't stop. The door opened on its own, as if the wind had pushed it, and there, in the center of the attic, I saw it. A figure, a being that didn't seem human, stood in the middle of the room. It was a faceless specter wrapped in thick fog, but its eyes shone with inhuman intensity. It stared at me intently. Its mouth slowly opened, and then its voice reached me with a terrifying clarity. I've been waiting for you, Lucas. The voice was a wind. It was a storm itself, carrying its message to me. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. My throat closed instantly, and the air around me became dense, almost heavy. The wind, now with unstoppable force, began to swirl around me, faster and faster, pulling me toward the figure. The fog began to envelop me, and I felt as if I were no longer in my house, as if time and space were dissolving, and I was trapped somewhere between reality and nothingness. Everything is a price, Lucas, it whispered again, its voice resonating in my mind, and you have already paid. I felt my feet no longer touch the ground. I was floating, as if I were disintegrating into the wind, as if I were just a part of the storm raging around me. The figure came closer, and its empty eyes devoured me, its gaze penetrating my soul. You can't escape, it said. Before I could understand what was happening, the wind ripped me away from the attic. I woke up in my bed, drenched in sweat, my heart pounding. It was just a dream, I thought, but the air still felt strange, the house quieter than usual. I looked out the window, and there it was, the wind blowing fiercely. My name, once again, reached me, whispered softly, as if the storm were aware of my presence. Lucas. And I knew it wasn't a dream. The wind was waiting for me again, calling me, and this time, I wouldn't be able to resist.